Hi everyone, my name is Ted Jachimowicz. I'm an RRT, NPS, and almost BSRT, and I am here today to talk to you about my solution to the BiPAP-induced pressure injuries, which I'm referring to as the SCP. In this presentation, I'll be going over an SBAR regarding BiPAP-induced pressure injuries. I'll be going over 4 peer-reviewed articles explaining how other hospitals have overcome this obstacle, and I'll be presenting a PDSA on how we can solve this issue in our PICU. My hope is that you'll be sold on this idea and we can start implementing this protocol in October. So a little bit about me. I have been an RT for about 12 years. I've been in our PICU for 4 years, and I have been in ICU respiratory charge since January. Shortly after I became a charge, Mike Gala Trinidad and Kathleen Murphy-Taylor made me aware of just how severe the BiPAP-induced pressure injuries in our PICU are becoming. So I figured that would be a great topic for a capstone project. So here we are. So, SBAR, situation. BiPAP masks are currently the #1 cause of pressure injuries in our PICU. Background, we have had 11 BiPAP-induced pressure injuries between July 2022 and July 2023. 8 of them have been on the bridge of the nose, which is the most common area that we're seeing them in our PICU currently. Assessment, why is this happening? Currently, there is no collaborative process to prevent BiPAP injuries. No collaborative bedside process, I mean. Currently there is no standard process for escalation, and there is no real means of accountability or holding people accountable. It's way too easy for everyone to just say, not my problem, or someone else will handle it, or couldn't be me. There also is an education deficit regarding what an acceptable leak is, which we'll be going over in a few minutes. So recommendations. We will implement a collaborative bedside process between the RTs and the RNs to prevent this. We will implement an escalation process to inform RT and RN supervisors when non-blanchable redness is noted, and we will document, track, and audit these processes to ensure that they are being followed. So with this whole thing, collaboration is key. A huge trend that I keep seeing as I researched this was that collaboration between RNs and RTs was a major factor in preventing BiPAP-induced pressure injuries. So I have 2 studies now that I'm going to go over with you guys to sort of drive that point home. The first one is from Texas Children's Hospital, and that was published in the 2015 article of the Journal of Pediatric Nursing. It states that in 2012, Texas Children's Hospital noted 11 BiPAP-induced pressure injuries in the first 3 quarters of that year. They formed a team of RNs and RTs to implement evidence-based interventions such as piloting new masks, using a foam dressing, and implementing Q4-hour skin assessments into the RN and RT workflow. The goal was to establish a collaborative relationship between RNs and RTs, and as a result of this intervention, they experienced 5 pressure injuries from BiPAP in 2013. That's down from 11 in 2012. Same story, smaller hospital. A 2021 study published in the Journal of Wound and Continence Nursing took place in a 12-bed critical care unit somewhere in the Mid-Atlantic area of the US. The study found that reluctance to remove the mask of a BiPAP-dependent patient resulted in either incomplete or inaccurate skin assessments. They also implemented a new work process that included product evaluation of masks, Q4-hour skin assessments, and a path of escalation to a certified wound, ostomy, and continence nurse. As a result of all this, in 2017, only 1 stage 1 pressure injury was identified. That is a 75% reduction from the 4 that they saw in 2016. So what does this all mean? It means that collaboration plus foam dressing, which we already use, plus Q4-hour skin assessments equal a notable drop in pressure injuries, which is the goal that we're going for. So obviously collaboration is a huge factor in how we can stop this, but it is not the only factor that is contributing to it. Another huge factor is leaks. There is a misconception that leaks equal underventilation. This misconception results in excessively tightening the straps to eliminate the leak, and this excessive tightening results in skin breakdown. this is a tale as old as time as far as RT stuff goes. In the 12 years I've been doing this, I have seen this again and again and again. Everybody thinks that, oh my gosh, any leak at all, this is horrible, they can't breathe. No. Some leak is good. I'm actually going to go, and there is a specific number that is reasonable, which we'll go over now. Radiant Children's Hospital. A study published in the November 22 edition of, again, the Journal of Wound, Continence, and Ostomy Nursing goes over how Radiant Children's Hospital in San Diego, just one state over, solved this issue by targeting a leak of 25 to 55 liters per minute on patients who were requiring BiPAP masks. They also used the PDSA, and they looked at the occurrence of pressure injuries compared to the number of days at risk, which they defined as the number of days that a patient is on a BiPAP mask, because a BiPAP mask can only hurt you if you're wearing it. Obviously, if you're not wearing a BiPAP mask, you are not at risk of getting an injury. Pre-intervention, 6 out of 115 patients incurred a pressure injury at a rate of 0.51 occurrences per 100 days at risk. Post-intervention, only 1 out of 87 patients incurred a pressure injury at a rate of 0.05 occurrences per 100 days at risk. When 90% of compliance was met, when 90% of patients were receiving a targeted leak of 25 to 55 liters per minute, the number of pressure injuries went to 0 per 1,221 days at risk, which they found in 2018. So they found that targeting a leak of 25 to 55 liters per minute was crucial in preventing pressure injuries from overturning the mask. So collaboration and leaks, what else? It's coming, hold on. The skincare bundle and BiPAP masks. I have been a PCH for a few years. I have not heard of the skincare bundle until I began researching this. I was able to look into it more, and I'm going to show you what I found. So, a study that was published in the 2021 Journal of Advances in Skin and Wound Care took place in a Saudi Arabian tertiary hospital, and it aimed to assess what effect utilizing the skincare bundle had on preventing PIs. Pre-intervention, this hospital had 43 out of 321 patients incurring a PI. Post-intervention, they had 2 out of 223 patients incurring a PI. So what is the skincare bundle? It is a mnemonic, and I feel like they're a little generous calling it a mnemonic because it's very wordy, as you can see. But we're still going to go over it. I've highlighted the 3 letters that I feel like we are falling short on at PCH. So just from the top, skincare, S, secure the device and protect skin with dressings in high-risk areas. We do that. K, here's where we're falling short. Keep repositioning more frequently than twice daily. Remove the device as soon as medically feasible. We are not doing this consistently here at PCH. We are not changing the mask frequently, and we are sometimes leaving these kids on BiPAP for way, way, way longer than they need to be, which is contributing to skin breakdown. I, inspect the skin under the device more than twice daily. This is also not happening consistently here at PCH. Nutrition N, nutrition and hydration insufficiency are high-risk factors for PIs. C, choose a correct size and type of medical device to fit the individual. A, avoid placing devices over sites of prior or existing PIs. R, report PIs effectively and immediately. Monitor incidence and prevalence. We are monitoring it, yes, but we are not reporting it as quickly as we could be. There are some cases we're seeing where nothing at all is documented for days at a time. It's just documented as skin is good, until all of a sudden, whoa, there's a surprise wound here. Where'd this come from? And there's nothing at all in the charting to indicate where it could come from. So this is another area, the R, where we are falling short. E, educate on the correct use of devices and prevention of skin breakdown. Never apply additional pressure when securing a device, and do not position the patient onto that device unless it cannot be avoided. So that is the skincare breakdown and the mnemonic in a nutshell. So now that I've gone over that, I want to go over my PDSA for what I'm calling the respiratory and skincare protocol, or for simplicity's sake, the SCP. So it's PDSA. So the plan, we will implement a bedside process and an escalation process. The bedside process will be performed by the RN and the RT at least every 6 hours, twice per shift at a minimum. The escalation process, we will document that RT team lead and charge RN are notified when non-blanchable redness is noted. Weekly rounding by RT leaders, RN leaders, and wound care to discuss at-risk patients will be implemented, and we will document all this on paper first with plans to add it to the charting system later on if it's successful. Obviously, asking IT to put this in the medical record currently is going to be a nightmare, so we will start this process by using paper alone. If it's deemed successful later on, we will add it to the medical record. But documenting it, let's go over that. This is a rough draft of what I want, of what I'm proposing, what sheet we should have people document. This is a sheet that we'll fill out. The RT and nurse will fill out together at least every 6 hours when they perform the skincare protocol. So, one thing at a time. First, RT and RN will remove the mask, thoroughly assess the skin for non-blanchable redness or breakdown, and notify the team lead and charge PICU RN if either of those are noted. Second, C, cleanse. We will cleanse the skin and apply a new dressing together. Alternate. We will alternate which mask is being used to change where the pressure is applied to the face. Do not use the same mask for the entire shift. Do not use the same mask for multiple days in a row. Alternate which mask is being used, because that will change up where we are applying pressure on the kid's face. If they're on a oral nasal mask, switch to under the nose mask. That will take pressure off the bridge of the nose. If we're seeing issues in both those areas, then alternate between one of them and a scuba mask. Obviously, if this is like medically contraindicated, we won't do that, but this should be something that we can implement frequently already. Assess. Assess how the patient is tolerating being off BiPAP. Monitor for signs of respiratory distress, including a drop in SpO2, increased work of breathing, or an increased heart rate. If the patient tolerated being removed from BiPAP pretty well, then have a conversation with the care team about whether this kid needs to stay on BiPAP. Because again, going back to the skincare bundle, a huge factor is, one thing that it says is to remove the patient from medical device as quickly as possible. And again, we are leaving some of these kids on the BiPAP mask for way, way, way longer than they have to be on it. And that is contributing to skin breakdown. Leak. Place them back on the BiPAP and target a leak of 25 to 55 liters per minute. So, we've done all that. Once that's all been done, this sheet will be filled out by the RT and RN. RT initials, RN initials, what time we did this. Was redness or breakdown noted, yes or no? If yes, which RT team leader was notified and which charge RN was notified? Notification is what will get pressure going from the top down to make sure this is not escalating or getting worse once you're on the patient. This sheet will once again be filled out by the RT and the RN every time they do this protocol, whatever frequency that is. So frequency, let's talk about that. Many patients who are on BiPAP are already receiving airway clearance. A lot of these are chronic patients. They're getting their vest, they're getting cough assist, they're needing to be suctioned. So they're already getting airway clearance at least some frequency. Since we are already taking the mask off to remove the airway, this would be a good time to add the SCP on. So if the airway clearance is ordered Q4 or Q6, perform the SCP with that treatment, Q4 or Q6. If the airway clearance is ordered less than Q6 or not ordered at all, then perform the SCP Q6. Q6 hour skincare protocol is the bare minimum that we should be targeting to prevent skin breakdown. Remember, all those studies that they said more than twice daily. So more than twice per shift at a minimum, but ideally more than twice per shift. I know that I keep harping on collaboration being so important. I'm going to do it one more time here before we move on. I want to talk about what's called the kappa statistic. It's a big reason why I'm adamant that this be an RT and RN thing, not just an RN and RN, or not just RT and RT. Collaboration and having someone to hold the other person accountable is vital to this. So the kappa statistic, sorry, that's how you spell it, kappa statistic. It states that the measurement of the extent of data collector, the measurement of the extent to which data collectors assign the same score to the same variable is called inter-rater reliability. In this case, the RN and the RT are data collectors. The degree of skin breakdown is the variable, and the score is how the skin looks. But what this really says is that when two people can agree on the same thing consistently, it is more likely to be accurate and more likely to be acted upon. So that's why I want it to be RN and RT working together, not just RT and RT, not just RN and RN. It has to be both departments combining their forces to make this problem go away. Escalation, which is a huge factor. We have a pyramid of people here. This is how high we're escalating this thing. RT team leads will inform RT leaders when non-blanchable redness or skin breakdown is forming or noted on the patient. Once a week, clinical leaders from PICU, nursing, and RT departments will round. They will discuss who's experiencing pressure injury, what can we do to prevent it from getting worse, and hoping that the weekly rounding will prevent surprise pressure injuries from popping up. We need multiple eyes. We need more eyes looking at this than are currently looking at this, and that is why escalating to the appropriate channels, making sure the RT supervisors are aware of this, is going to be so vital to fixing this problem. So that was plan. That was a lot of plan. Let's go over do now. Do. It is August. August and September, we will, throughout August and September, we will form an interdepartmental committee of RNs, RTs, and wound care specialists to look over this protocol, make any adjustments they deem necessary, and implement this in October. October is when we will go live with this. From October to December, we will implement this in the PICU. We will collect data and give us plenty of information to study, which brings us to the study portion. By January 2024, we will have 3 months worth of data on if this is working or not. We will compare the final 3 months of 2023 to the first 3 quarters of 2023. Specific metrics that we're looking at are number of pressure injuries per patient on BiPAP, and number of pressure injuries per days at risk. Because again, remember their rating children study. They looked at pressure injuries compared to days at risk. Goal is 75% reduction in pressure injuries in the final quarter of 2023. That is going to be what we're studying, which will give us plenty to act on. So, act. Inevitably, I'm not perfect. Modifications will need to be made to this protocol. If the SCP is deemed successful at reducing the number of pressure injuries, we will then implement it hospital-wide. If the SCP is successful at reducing the number of pressure injuries, we will take steps to determine how to add it to the medical record. We need to show IT that it's going to work first before we make them add it to the record, because there's no way they're going to agree to that. I already know that. That's just some of the pushback we're going to get. So let's talk about pushback. I was here on Christmas when we had 2 therapists in the CVICU and we were doing BiPAP, or we're doing vent checks every 12 hours. I know how busy it gets. I know that a lot of the pushback is going to come down to this adding work to both parties. So how can we talk about that with them? This is an insult to me as a medical professional. I don't need a babysitter. Again, this is not about babysitting. This is about creating a collaborative process for RTs and RNs to work together to prevent this. No one is saying that we need a babysitter. We are just saying that we need to work together and hold each other accountable for our patients. We are so short-staffed, I don't have time for this. If the patient is already getting airway clearance, this protocol can easily be added to the end of that airway clearance. If they are not already getting airway clearance, the RT is still getting points for them being on BiPAP, which they can, and this can be added to those points. This sounds like cluster care, and we don't do cluster care in the PICU. which I disagree with. Every single time that we need, that a parent wants to hold an intubated baby, we do cluster care. It's a whole team effort to get them into the mom's arms. Every single time that we are going to transport a patient to CT who's intubated, that is cluster care. We are working as a team to get them down to CT. This is just another thing that we're going to do that is collaborative for the betterment of our patients. But I already do this. There are definitely therapists and nurses who are adamant about preventing skin breakdown, who are adamant about taking care of the skin, who already do this. And I can already hear them saying, this. My response to that will be, awesome, do you want to be a super user? Because we're going to need those. In conclusion, BiPAP-induced pressure injuries can be prevented. There is a roadmap, all you have to do is follow it. Preventing them will require teamwork, collaboration, and accountability. And we can dramatically reduce the number of BiPAP pressure injuries in the final quarter of 2023 if we implement this soon. That's all I've got. Go away now.